Hello there, John. It's been a while in this appropriately named segment. It's been way too long. Welcome back.
Yes, Tim, actually very appropriate, and it has been a long time, so it's good to speak with you again.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for those that have not been listening to every word I've said for all eternity, John and I used to do this podcast called the iPad Possibilities Podcast. And we did, I'm not sure how much of them you were on. I know a good majority, but 224 in total. And I don't know what number you start on, but you were on at least half of them, I'd say, probably.
Yeah, I think it was probably around 4 or 5, I would guess, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was a good little run.
Yeah, and then
Back when the iPad was new.
yeah, it was new and shiny, and there are all sorts of exciting things happening with it, and there still are, but not as much as there used to be. And yeah, I thought, so let's bring John back on as a kind of regular segment of Club Apple, and what better way to do this than to cover and talk about, it's been way too long, Apple's event, that I'm not sure exactly what they're referencing, if it was a joke, it's only been a month, or it's a Mac Mini reference, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly they were intending there.
Yeah,
you could read it in a bunch of different ways,
yeah.
but
a lot of people were reading into the invite had the Apple colors from the original logo. It's like, oh, they're going back to that logo. It's been way too long since they've used colors in the logo. No,
I thought of that one myself, but not to be. So
let's dig into it. The first thing they spent a good majority of time on, I'm not sure if this is sequential or not, but Yosemite they spent some time on.
And obviously it's out.
It's out now, yeah. So they announced
Yeah.
it was available the day of that keynote. And I've been using it all summer. What Mac are you rocking these days?
I'm still on my 17-inch MacBook Pro. So
No way. Is that
very long in the tooth.
How old's that guy?
Yes, it's good. I love the for portability. I love the screen size.
That's my first Mac. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's.
Is it a 2008, 6? What?
No, it's later than that. It was I think 2011.
So it was one of the
last ones.
One of the last ones. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, that's an excellent computer.
Yeah.
It looks great on that Mac then.
Yeah, it does. So
that's cool.
It's there's a lot of good things. I don't know that we need to spend too much time going into all the things.
It was all rehashed from Apple's standpoint, I think.
But
they had a
obviously
cute little demo with Colbert. Making a phone
yes,
call.
Yeah. So I think the important thing is for some of the features, continuity. I think it's called. It's integrating things together. It's certainly obviously for people in the Apple universe, it's yet one more thing that keeps us all here and keeps everything we have and love working. So
it's the nicest addition, I'd say, for Yosemite is the ability to answer phone calls, do SMS, and all that other stuff, handoff if you have a supported Mac.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a great update and it's free. So let's move on from there to 8.1. It's available October 20th, which it'll be already out by the time you listen to this podcast.
Yep.
It's tomorrow for us. And but why don't you go into what is all in this update here?
Well, so there are a number of little things for those people already using 8.1. The camera roll is coming back. I don't know if you've missed it, Tim. I haven't been taking any pictures.
I had some coworkers that got angry at me that there wasn't a camera roll. I took it out.
Get out at you.
Yeah, I took it out. Yeah.
Well, I didn't really miss it. If I had been running 8 a month before it came out, I probably would have missed it when I was on a trip. But I haven't taken that many pictures, so I haven't really missed it. But it's good to get it back, I think.
I'm still getting questions about where did my photo stream go, because it's kind of integrated into all of your photos. It doesn't tell you where it stops, because I think their goal is, let's not have people be uber careful about what's in PhotoStream and what's not, because you have the iCloud photo library that I've been using all summer, and
right.
That's kind of their. That's the solution I think they've always wanted, right?
Yeah, it certainly is a the solution that people have needed. My wife's a perfect example. When we were on our trip in September, that she ran out of room on her iPhone. You know, she filled it up with pictures, and we're every night when we get back to the hotel trying to figure out, okay, well, where are we going to put these? You know, back them up somewhere. Yeah. And you know, every day she's still running out of room because we can't.
I'll tell you, 16 gigabytes still won't cut it for iCloud Photo Library, I don't think.
Yeah, she's got 32, but she takes a lot of pictures on her phone.
Because the way this works, I've been using it all summer. There's the ability to download and store full resolution on your phone, or you can optimize for storage on your phone. But you do have to have some sort of those photos on your phone. Which means that 16 gigabytes, even with huge libraries, that's not going to work on your device. It really won't.
Yeah, yeah.
So
she's not ready to upgrade. I'm trying to convince her she needs to get an iPhone 6 with 64. But we'll have to see about that. But anyway, it's great. Yeah, it's a good addition to what we're doing. So
because I've hated iPhoto for its entire existence. The fact that I have to manage a photo library and worry about hard drives crashing or backups being safe, the fact that I can just take stuff on all my devices, are all up there in the cloud, and they'll be on the Mac one day next year, and that's what I want. It's the EverPix, but done better, you know.
Yeah, I'm an avid amateur photographer, and you know, I constantly struggle with issues with how do I really utilize my iPad to when I'm particularly traveling. You know, I don't want to carry a computer if I don't need to, and so I've come up with this complex way. So I have a camera that still has compact flash cards, and so, you know, I've had to come up with this incredible way of getting it to bring it into the iPad.
Kit? Oh, the camera
with the camera connection kit, but I have to actually have a powered USB hub attached, which I power with a phone battery.
Yeah.
So I can actually get the things in, and I take pictures in RAW. So you know, there's a number of apps that I have that I can now mess with those on the iPad, but I still have the issue that those just suck up room on the iPad, and after I do something with them, I need to get them back off the iPad. So you know, all the cloud services, including the iCloud Photo Library, are things that I need for that kind of thing to
and this will work with videos too, so you can shoot a video on your iPhone and edit it on your iPad. So.
That's very cool.
Apple Pay, very exciting.
Yeah, so that's probably the biggest one. I actually had some peripheral involvement in my company with getting ready for Apple Pay, and so we're really excited about seeing it come to fruition. It's going to be...
from a business perspective, do they just need to get NFC readers and turn those on, and then it should work? Like, they don't need a special Apple Pay version of NFC readers?
I believe that it will work at least, and it may depend upon which card network. You know, each person that takes cards subscribes to a particular card network, and there's exchange between the different card networks, but I'm not sure that that's going to work in the back end across transparently with Apple Pay. I don't know that detail yet, but
I'm very curious what my experience will be like tomorrow with this.
Yeah, so I expect that it should be very seamless, but tomorrow will tell, I guess.
So if there's NFC terminal, it has a little tap and pay symbol, I should be able to go up and tap and pay. I'm wondering how much of an idiot I'll look like tomorrow going to my mom and pop shop superstore that has one of those tap and pay things, but it may just not be enabled at all, and I'll be like, "Come on, what, is this working?"
Kid, quit hitting your phone against our thing.
I'm so curious. Like, will the phone know you're next to one of these and that you need to pay? Like, what's what initiates your phone to get into Passbook and do this? That's my curiosity.
Well, I mean, they use this for other things as well.
Yeah, there's credit cards with them. Android phone.
and so credit cards doesn't have any smarts per se. So it's really based upon the terminal. The terminal engaging and turning that on, and then waiting for something to tap against it.
Okay, so hypothetically, terminal's on,
data.
NFC's transmitting. My phone always has an NFC kind of awake, and once that taps, it'll tell my phone how much I need to pay, and then I put my fingerprint in, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is going to be I don't know, the beginning of this is going to be interesting.
It will be very interesting. but it's, I would have to say, knowing a little bit of, and I'll stress the word little, but a little bit about the payment industry. It's very revolutionary, and I think it's the start of a lot of good things.
I get so freaked out when I have to have my credit card handed off to some waiter, and it's like, if I was a waiter, I'd probably, if I was dishonest, be writing down a lot of these numbers.
Oh, they don't even have to write them down. They have little scanners, and they just run them through.
Oh yeah, they do
something in their pocket, and
yeah,
and it just records everything on the magnetic strip.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe
the U.S. needs to catch up with the rest of the world and really be using a chip and pin.
Yeah, I guess we're sticking with signatures, which is idiotic because signatures are the worst proof of verification.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason we stick with signatures is because people haven't wanted to force merchants to pay for, upgrading equipment. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen and primarily because of fraud.
Yeah.
Because as soon as all the card issuing companies start issuing cards with chips in them, then if somebody doesn't have a merchant doesn't have the equipment to actually accept that, and fraud happens, whoever has the least amount of technology is the one that has to pay the fraud. Yeah. So there will be a monetary.
In America, it's great. Basically, if your car gets stolen or you get scammed into something, most of the time the card company will cover it, and that's one of the huge benefits of our messed up system here. In Europe, that's not the case. You get screwed out a lot of money if you're taken or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, let's move on. Apple Pay, it's going to be pretty awesome, and I'm excited because I have a 6 Plus, and I've got a slot for one. I got one credit card, and I got my phone, so I got everything I need here between Apple Pay and my one card if I have to use a card still.
It looks like you need to get that new card that's coming out in a couple months.
Oh yeah,
that's
a
plastic
right?
card. Yeah,
great. Yeah,
yeah.
That's something else. Eventually, that'll be cool. You're on a 5S, right? You're debating the 6 or 6 Plus still, right? Or you're on a 5?
Yeah, I'm actually on a 5.
Yeah, that's where I came from. Yeah.
Yeah, and so.
Oh, we lost John there. He is coming back.
You there?
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
No worries. So you are on a 5 still.
Yes, and definitely I have to make that decision between the 6 and the 6 Plus, and it'll be a whole new world for me having Touch ID and
it's fantastic,
as well as bigger screen and faster processor and everything.
So next month in November, we'll be able to strap MacBook Airs to our wrist to pretend we have Apple Watch.
Yeah, of course. No, WatchKit's available for next month to developers, and I think that's really great. The developers will be able to get all developers, not just the picked ones by Apple, will get a chance.
That's a good sign that it's early 2015 for real. For the watch.
I think what that definitely means to me that I would expect it Q1. I would expect that Apple's probably going to give 5 to 6 months worth of runway for developers to get stuff
really
ready.
That long? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't see it being January or February. I think they'd probably toward the
There's a
end
lot
of
of cool
Q1.
apps that could be out there because I got the August smart lock installed in my apartment. It's a pretty cool setup, but I hate having to bring my 6 Plus on exercise oriented events outside, and having the watch, being able to just like walk up to the door and use the August app on my Apple Watch would be amazing to unlock my door.
Well, and we might get into that later, but of course that's one of the things that a lot of people are wondering about is how integrated will the watch be with the phone, and how useful will the watch be when it's nowhere close to the phone.
It's my understanding
So,
there's going to be apps that require the phone for internet and stuff, but local apps like this August, which is entirely Bluetooth based, should work locally, hopefully. So we'll see
yeah.
what they provide.
So I've been looking at electronic locks, and I'm looking at ones that don't just need a phone, but they also have a keypad.
Well, briefly, side tangent. I'm going to do a whole segment on the smart home, but August Smart Lock just came out this week. It's in Apple stores. But it will allow you to still use your key to get in if, say, it's not
Right.
working. It will it has a feature called Everlock where after you unlock your door, after 30 seconds, it'll automatically lock. So even if it unlocks for whatever reason, it'll just automatically lock after 30
Right.
seconds. It's also geolocation, so as you're driving up to your door, it'll unlock for you when you get there. It won't unlock until you're actually at the door because it's over Bluetooth, which the app will talk to the lock. So it's
Right.
versus like Lockatron, some other ones that are Wi-Fi based, which scare me a bit more for reliability and hackability standpoints. I think the August Smart Lock's a really solid product.
Yeah, I've been looking at some more traditional ones like from Yale
Hmm.
and some of those
What, like key
places.
fob based ones?
No, they're a smart lock with a
Okay.
keypad
Okay.
and they do hook to your. I don't know if they have Bluetooth. I think
Mhm.
they do, but they hook to your Wi-Fi network, so you can like check and see if the door's locked
I
and
see.
stuff like that.
And anyways, the August, you can invite people for like an hour. Like you say, you have a dog walker, you're able to get in
Yeah.
this hour, and then you won't be able to use that access key again. But anyways, let's move on.
Okay.
We will probably do a smart home segment in the future. I'm addicted to that stuff. iPads. We all love iPads, don't we?
Yes.
And there's two new ones. One more new than the other.
Well, one more that's actually more different than
Yes.
its predecessor.
I'll say though, with that said, the Mini 3, what they did with that, not a huge update, but what they did with expanding the lineup of iPads to do the Mini 1 and 2 at attractive price points makes the Mini lineup almost an iPod killer and a graceful.
Well, I agree, particularly bringing the original Mini down to what is it, 249? Yeah, I mean,
So
and
that's the bigger
certainly
deal.
that.
The price thing's the bigger deal for me, I think.
Yeah, certainly that also puts them in that contentious area with some of the other tablets out there.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the many failed tablets, if I can say that.
Yes, indeed.
But
the Air 2 is the one to get
yeah,
excited about, right?
so just before we leave off the Mini 3, so the Mini 3 mostly just got the gold color and the Touch ID. And I
got my gold phone, so.
okay, and and what I can't understand is that you're essentially paying $100 for Touch ID because
And
there doesn't seem to be
gold.
really any other spec difference between the Mini 2 and the Mini 3.
So what I heard hypothesized on a different show was last year the Mini got a way better upgrade than Apple would normally ever do. And it was parity with the iPad Air, and it left no reason for hardcore people to get the Air except for size alone. And it was a fluke last year, and now they're getting it back in line where it should be. Is what I heard. That was the hypothesis. But
Okay, but
is $100
in that
for
case-
convenience not worth it for you, John? The Touch ID.
Well, it may be, but it just
Avid
seems
shoppers, Apple Pay.
it seems like it should be a little more,
Yeah.
but it doesn't, a little boost in speed or something, but
I guess you get the storage advantages of 64 gigs being cheaper than I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, I agree with you. It's a pretty crappy update, but if you're wanting a mini and you have $100 that you can throw away on Touch ID, I say do it, because like once you have Touch ID, you don't want to go back. It just feels like you're in the last century using stupid passwords.
Yeah. I was I was out this morning and talking to a guy I hadn't talked to for a while, and we were talking Apple, and he certainly said that the Touch ID was worth $100.
I'll tell you, it's integrated into apps now, so like 1Password is incredibly
absolutely
useful now. So I'm in Safari, it's like, oh, let me log into this site, and I can use all these complicated passwords, and with 2 seconds I'm in on my iPhone screen.
Yeah, definitely 1Password and similar apps make that
so I think Touch ID
well
is
spent.
actually worth it, but it's $100. Do with what you want,
Yeah.
But yeah, so the gold I'm a fan of. I'm not sure if you are.
Yeah, I like the look of the gold. It just doesn't seem like okay, we now have a different color, but that's not much of an update.
But yeah, Air 2.
But anyway, the iPad 2. Let's move on to the iPad 2.
Yeah, sure.
So it's thinner.
I'm shocked by this one, actually. Like, I figure case redesigns are infrequent with the iPad, and no way they're going to change that.
Yeah, I'm amazed that they're making it even thinner. I mean, it's like as thin as
Will it bend?
the iPhone 6, isn't it?
I did not do the measurements, but it could be. I've heard it's incredibly thin. This new iPad Air 2.
Yeah. So and then it's got the faster processor, the A8X.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
and the same 10-hour battery life, which is great.
Right.
The camera, 8 megapixel, and it's got a lot of. It's not quite an iPhone camera, but it's serviceable now.
Yeah. Well, some of the things that they've added really make it phenomenal in having panoramas and 1080p and slow-mo videos.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing with the Air 2 is, it's not a good upgrade for Air owners, but it is a good upgrade if you're going from a 2 or a 3. That's a fantastic upgrade, the Air 2,
Yeah.
So, yeah, Touch ID, of course, and, Pixelmator runs on this, and as well as older iPads, I would hope. And I'm a huge Pixelmator fan. I use it at work all the time on Mac. And I was just, hoping we'd have a viewer at some point for the iPhone, but now we get a full-out app for iPad.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty phenomenal. Really good thing, and I'm certainly looking forward to that. So I likewise hope that it runs on slightly older hardware.
I think my mini first gen might be out of luck, though. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
maybe.
But yeah, it looks like a great app, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's weird. They don't have a way to block apps from not working on older devices. Like, there was a Pokemon trading card game for iPad Retina displays, and they have to use in the description, only works on iPad Retina. I was able to download it on my Mini without any problems, but when I open it, it doesn't let me do anything because it's for Retina only. It does not work.
There is some way to do some specifications. Maybe they didn't do that. I haven't done any apps that were a screen requirement.
Well, they use the screen as a indication of how fast the iPad is, basically. But the old trick was you need gyroscope, you need a compass, and now that every iPad has all of the core
has
feature
all that
sets.
stuff.
It's just all processors now. But you have a 4. Is this a tempting upgrade for you?
It is tempting. The Air was not tempting, but this one is tempting. Although,
do you use your iPad enough to make it tempting?
Well, I use my iPad pretty much every day.
You do? Okay.
Not necessarily that this would help a lot with most of the stuff I use my
Right.
iPad for, but yeah, I think getting a new phone and some other tech purchases that I have on
Last
the
priority.
pipeline. Yeah, it's probably going to drop it down for a while, but yeah, it is a little tempting though.
Yeah. Okay.
Particularly if it's more tempting if I don't invest in this next thing that we're going to talk about.
Yes, man. I don't have money for this thing. I need
I
to
don't
not.
either,
I
but
can't
the new
spend money.
iMac, the new
Man,
27-inch iMac,
it's so good. So this is a
the
5K display.
Retina
Defeats.
5K. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
it's
So the amazing thing is it uses less power than the other iMac,
yeah.
which is
That
amazing
is,
because remember, John, when the MacBook Pros got Retina, those things were hot and used the
yeah.
fans. Yeah.
It's definitely an amazing screen. I was telling somebody the other day that I was out shopping for monitors for hooking to my MacBook, um, because I wanted another screen, and I'm used to the MacBook having a big screen. I mean, it's a
Sure.
17-inch screen, and I forget the resolution, but I'm used to more than HD
Hmm.
pixels on a screen, and it's hard to find a screen that has more than HD resolution,
Sure.
no matter how big it is. There's 30-inch screen and it's got HD resolution.
Hmm.
It's like I wanted more pixels, and so
Yeah.
now here is one. Although it's a bit more than a screen. I did see some screens that had almost this resolution for 1500.
Okay. But not
So
5K. I mean, this is 5K.
yeah, so this is better, and you get a computer with it. So
So the market is obvious for this one, at least at the start. Video professionals editing 4K video will now have an extra K for all of the
yeah,
extra
yeah.
real
Obviously,
estate to work in.
that's people, as well as anybody
Photography.
in video or photography or anything visual imaging, having that much screen real estate at that kind of DPI is
Hmm. And once
is
iTunes gets 4K content, we'll have to buy one to watch it on.
yes. I'm not sure that how our bandwidth will survive with 4K
Comcast
content,
will
but
yell even more.
yeah, but it is a pretty exciting machine. So
It's $24.99, which is not. It's expensive, but not terrible if you consider what screen you're getting with that.
yeah,
A few years ago, the 30-inch Apple display was $3,000.
yes,
So times are changing. Um, yeah, the last Mac desktop I've owned. It's probably the Mac Mini many years ago. I've always been a laptop guy. I use a MacBook Air 11-inch, and I've had that since 2011. I think my model is.
So do you have an external screen for it?
I don't. I have 11-inch.
How can you deal with that tiny screen?
I don't. I don't know. It just works for me. At work, I have a iMac 21-inch that's mid 2010 that has a hard drive that is. It'll take like 5 minutes to load a Final Cut. Just ridiculously slow. It's so aggravating. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm hoping the next OS update doesn't support it, so I can go to my boss like. This is really
Good
slow
excuse.
and old, and it can't even run the latest OS because it's 5 years old.
Yes.
We'll see.
Oh, hopefully.
Yeah, but anyways, are you a desktop guy? Because you said you had a laptop at work. Do you use your laptop, or what do you use?
I have a laptop at work. It's PC, docking station.
There you go. Okay.
So yeah, I'm pretty much a laptop guy for most things. But this next introduction, the Mac Mini, is really something I'm considering, primarily because my wife has a laptop, but she doesn't really use it as a laptop. It just sits on the table, and it's an old one. So
Yeah.
so I'm thinking that maybe I'm going to move her to one of these new Mac Minis with the 4th gen Intel
Yeah.
Iris processors.
So that'll be a mid-tier, and the entry $499 is integrated one, integrated card.
Yeah, I would probably not go, even though it's nice that they're $100 cheaper for the entry
Yeah.
level, but probably
It's good to
mid-tier.
sit under a TV. I don't know. It could be good with video and stuff like that, perhaps. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's definitely a nice little
Education,
box.
sure.
Yeah.
So anything else on the iMac? I'm curious when this will get price drops, or if this is kind of the price point for a while.
Yeah, I expect that this is probably going to survive at this price point for, a while.
Because how long did it take for the 13-inch Retina MacBook Pro to come out? Was it like 2 or 3 years after the original Retina?
I don't recall,
Yeah,
actually.
so that'll be. I'd like to go back and see what the
But
case
I
is for
think,
that.
this screen is probably hard enough to produce that it's going to remain,
Yeah,
the single biggest expense of this machine for quite a while.
and
So
it's Mac Pro owners can't even run a 5K display on their machine because it's going to require Thunderbolt 3 and some other things that are in that. So
yeah, I was kind of disappointed. I didn't. It looked like you could not use this as a monitor for another Mac.
which makes sense because how the heck are you going to power that thing?
Well, yeah, that's a good
Yeah, I mean
question.
it's sad, but that's kind of the case. And there's no HDMI input. Like, oh, that's the same thing I'm thinking of. Like, I'd love to plug a Blu-ray player into this, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess
I'm
you can
sure
just rip
there's
it. Yeah,
you could still use external sources
yeah,
to
yeah.
come in, particularly like over a Thunderbolt port or something,
Are
and
they
display
selling
stuff.
4K? Like, can I get 4K Amazing Spider-Man 2 in Blu-ray and rip that, or how's that work?
I
What
don't
do?
think they're selling anything in 4. I
Cause I know
have not
Sony.
heard
I
of
know
them selling.
Sony's been like handing out Spider-Man like in 4K. I don't know what format they're using for that.
Yeah, don't
Um,
know, don't know.
yeah. Anyways, Mac Mini. So it got updated finally after 2.5 years,
Yeah.
and yeah, as you said, it's finally got a decent graphics processor in the mid-tier ones.
Right, right. And it's a good general machine. I mean, it's certainly got the ports. It's got the
Hmm.
two Thunderbolt 2 ports. It's got I think 4 USB 3s.
Hmm.
So it's definitely
Wi-Fi
a
AC.
connectable device. Yeah,
We're
and
getting to the point where all the Apple stuff is AC. It's all these stupid TV boxes that are all the slow Wi-Fi that's going to bog down your network.
yeah, yeah. So I think I'll probably have to go to get an AC router for my house and.
Because I guess they'll work like the N routers did, where you have one network that's N, and the other network's the
Actually,
slower one.
if I'm not mistaken, I think AC can actually run both without having to downgrade the AC connections.
Okay, I've heard mixed results on that, so I'm curious
And
about.
it may not always work. May not
Yeah,
always work. I actually use multiple routers, so
you do. Okay.
yeah. So I have some stuff connect to one
Hmm.
router at a slower speed.
Okay. Anything else on the Macs or iPads or iOS or send me before we move on
So
to?
so yeah, there was kind of it was an almost afterthought, or it was just kind of glossed over, and that
Yeah,
was this new Apple Sim that is coming in the iPad Air 2,
I love
and
this.
this is potentially a big change to the industry. So essentially, instead of having to get a different SIM card for each carrier, you with the Apple SIM, you actually within software select the carrier that you're using,
And
and
you
you
can
can
switch
change.
monthly.
Yeah, you certainly could. You could, and certainly, obviously we have the radios in the device that can pick up all the different bands around the world, like
Yeah.
20 LTE frequencies or something like that. But now with the SIM, you don't have to go and actually physically get a different SIM from a new carrier.
It's
Which,
really intriguing.
well, if this were to move into the phone realm,
Oh yes.
particularly with the fact that we now have our carriers are kind of moving in the same direction as European carriers, with where there are options where you don't really buy a subsidized phone. I mean, you still can from some of them, but like T-Mobile and
Mm-hmm.
you can't. And you know, AT&T and I think Verizon both have it, so you have the option of either getting a subsidized phone or just paying for the phone in monthly installments. And so, you know, once they're not into a phone to keep you locked into your contract, then it becomes why not just have a SIM so you can easily change if you know if you're find a better deal.
The pricing wars and data are gonna be interesting if that happens. The iPad, because they could have like a monthly special. Use T-Mobile for a month for $5 for 5 gigs of data, just this month only, and just have people switch over for the month and see if they like it, kind of thing. That could
Yeah,
happen. I don't know.
it could, although you know the administrative costs of that for the carriers of running specials for a month would be
T-Mobile
pretty
would be up
outrageous. But
up their alley, I think. I don't know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, T-Mobile definitely
no
is
Verizon with this,
innovative.
as of yet, at least. It's Sprint, T-Mobile, and AT&T.
Well, because Verizon doesn't use GSM and doesn't really need a SIM
I
card.
don't think that's it though, because the iPad Air 1, which is now it's called, because that's still available. So for
Right.
$400, you can get the iPad Air 1, $500 iPad Air 2, and then the minis. But hardware-wise, all the iPad Airs are exactly the same. They'll make you buy a Verizon iPad or AT&T iPad, but that's just so that it's pre-programmed to work with that SIM card that's in there. I've had success stories of people buying an AT&T iPad Air and calling up Verizon to get it activated, and that does work. So I don't know if Verizon's just being stubborn or if there's some type of
Well,
competition.
no, but here's the deal. The what they've done recently is instead of unlike like the original Verizon iPhone, the original Verizon iPhone had the Verizon radio
Yeah, it's just CDMA.
for CDMA, but it you know it also had GSM. Versus at the time the AT&T iPhone only had GSM, it didn't have CDMA. So CDMA does not require a SIM. Never
Right.
has, right?
My
So
understanding with LTE is that that part actually uses a SIM network of some kind. I don't know.
yeah, it
It's
may have
complicated. Yeah.
something to do with that. These combination of technologies that they're coming up with now, but yeah, I think it's primarily because it's you know CDMA versus SIM, but
Okay.
who knows?
It's not an ego
You know?
thing where it's like, oh, we don't want
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I would
I would love it if I could sign up for all three accounts if I was a big CEO guy and hot swap between them. Like, let's go to this one this day and this one the next day.
yeah. But anyway, that'll be interesting as time goes on to see if that moves into other products and where that goes.
Yeah, I hope it's a similar process for transferring data plans because I'm still on the $30 limited data plan from the iPad 1.
I am as well, and I'm very close to dropping that.
Oh, really?
Because,
Okay.
Because with the reduction in costs of other plans, you know, because I can't change anything, I'm still on a certain number of minutes plan, and
Okay.
you know, I pay for text separately, and if I
Well,
make
the
any
iPad-
change, I lose that.
The iPad is separate from your
Right,
iPhone.
right. And on both things, on both phone and iPad, I'm still on unlimited
See,
data.
phone makes no sense because they throttle you. The iPad, however, AT&T is not throttling you. You could use 20 gigs and you don't get throttled because there's some clause where iPad users will never get throttled by AT&T so far, at least.
Yeah, I guess I'm located with Wi-Fi enough that I
Yeah.
seldom go over a couple of gig a month on an iPad.
It is nice for me though when Comcast is being stupid that I can just stream Netflix over unlimited bandwidth at my house.
Oh, yeah.
And as a backup, and I do need that every once in a while. And you know, when power goes out, I can use my iPad for videos.
Well, I know I've not often, but many times I've been in a situation where I've been somewhere that I typically use Wi-Fi, and for whatever reason the Wi-Fi just isn't loading, or
It's
maybe
more reliable LTE.
yeah, it is. LTE is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what Apple had for us that day. They had about half the event of recapping features and stuff, which
Yeah,
it was kind
and
of obnoxious.
all the number of iPads out in the world. What was
Yes.
225 million iPads?
I don't know
Yeah.
if that's a good number or not. It seems like a good number. I don't know. Then, do you want to close out our first segment with some Apple Watch talk?
Sure. Sure.
So, what do you got here? I see like a charging stand, which I kind of want.
Dodo Case, who makes those cool cases for the
The
iPads,
wooden ones, right?
the wooden ones. They've come up with a cool wooden stand, very nice looking, to complement your nice looking Apple Watch. That I guess the charger plugs into, and anyway, it was just kind of a cool thing, I thought, and it's out so early. It was kind of, or will be. It's I guess prototype at this
I'll
point.
be
But
curious if Apple has docks that come with this, like they did the original iPhone. You had a dock for the original iPhone they actually
yeah,
came with.
it seems like the way that the charging cable attaches to the back, even though it's all cool with magnets and stuff like
Yeah, I
that,
want a dock still.
it's like you wouldn't expect that to just be sitting on the table,
Well, it'd be great if they sold a case that has charging integrated, where you have like 2 or 3 slots, so you can have one
Yeah.
on standby. And just pop it out, and since the wristband is so modular, you just pop it out and pop in the new one. So that's your
Right.
battery solution there. Just buy 2 or 3 Apple Watches. I'm partially joking, but not really. And then what's this next one here from Forbes? Let's see.
So the when you start looking at the Apple Watch, what we know about it so far, it's pretty amazing. Some of the features that, or I shouldn't say features, but
Design implementation.
design and all the style options and everything else that we've been given. And so people have wondered how that really racks or stands up against, there's this, probably unknown to many people, but there's this cult of watch aficionados that
Oh yes, absolutely.
that are out there that pay thousands and thousands of dollars for watches,
It's
and
almost like the
so
fountain pen enthusiast, as I used to be.
yes,
You'll pay
exactly,
thousands of dollars for a pen, and
exactly,
it's
and
amazing there's
so
no smart pen yet from Apple.
so there was an interesting article from Forbes that had a leader in the luxury watch industry, Jean-Claude Biver, and he, they interviewed him and talked about, and he started the interview talking about how, oh yeah, it's an interesting thing. I probably won't get the first one because it's not that great in the first one, but it'll be a great thing afterwards.
Yeah.
And then they started delving a little bit more in, how does it really compare to, Swiss watches and things like that. And, essentially he ends up just saying, oh, well, it's a flash in the pan. It's no big deal. It won't compete with the luxury watches because it'll be outdated in 2 years. So, why are people even going to, spend money on a gold one? And
There's been a lot of talk about Apple having a serious upgrade program where they'll get a huge substantial discount to upgrade your gold watch or something like that.
yeah, I just kind of don't see it that way. There, probably the most interesting thing he said was that he felt like the Swiss watch industry will find an answer to the connected watch. That it won't be like an Apple Watch; it'll be different, but that he thinks that the Swiss watch makers will come up with a smart watch that will be that luxury watch that everybody wants, but still be more modern.
Yes.
I don't know. I think they have a lot of work ahead
Have
of
you
them.
seen the Withings Activate watch thing? It's supposed to be like a luxury watch that has motion tracking inside of it.
Yeah.
It's like $350 or something. It's Interesting.
Yeah,
You're excited about the watch, right? You're gonna get one.
I'm pretty excited about the watch. I almost bought a Pebble watch, 6 or 8 months ago, and I decided to hold off. I'm
Hmm.
glad I did.
Yeah, I'll be using the
Um,
Pebble until the Apple Watch comes. This will.
okay, well that's good. So yeah, I'm excited. I think that there will be a lot of luxury because I mean the same person that that's going to pay $2,000 for a Swiss watch is going to be very happy with the style and look of the Apple Watch, particularly the luxury models, and they're going to find so much more usefulness
At the
out of
beginning,
it.
it'll be a hot thing too that
Yeah,
you have
and
some.
it's. I mean, they probably have a dozen watches already that can only wear one at a time. So
Right.
it'll just be another one in their arsenal of watches. But
Yeah.
um, there was a gentleman that actually runs a blog about these expensive watches that was interviewed, or well, he put it in his blog, and he talked about a lot of things that were what he thought were good and bad about the watch. Obviously, things like the fit and finish, and the he felt it was really good that they didn't make the one version. There's two sizes to the watch,
Personalization.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
but there's two sizes to the watch, right? And what
Yeah,
he
that was actually
thought
brought
was,
up at work the other day. A lot of female workers were very excited that they're gonna have a smaller version. That's really thoughtful of them, and they're
well,
excited
he
about that.
he thought it was really great that Apple did not make one obviously feminine and one masculine. So
Because a guy
essentially,
could buy the small phone. That's
yeah, a
right.
smaller guy can buy the smaller one. A larger woman could buy the larger one. So he thought that was a really good. He thought it was really great that Apple took the time to really look into the whole watch world and
Yeah.
really understand it.
Well, and even females are going towards like the guy watch, like the boyfriend watch thing is a big thing. Right?
Yeah,
These huge watches, it might not even be their boyfriend's watch, but just like they like huge watches because it's
yeah,
in
yeah.
style.
Big watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he also talked about all the different straps and the different uh, ways that you can put this thing on your wrist, and that's pretty amazing if you think about it.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a big business. The strap business for Apple's gonna be huge.
Yeah, I'm left-handed, and initially when I first saw the keynote,
Hmm.
I was wondering about the whole whether I can use it on my right wrist or not. And then later out, I found that if you actually swap the ends of the band
Hmm.
into the other side, that the watch can be turned upside down and the face will be oriented for a left hand or
Kind of
a
like
right
the
wrist.
Nano where you're pinching around.
Yeah, kind of. So yeah, so they've thought that out well. Some of the things that he thought were missing from the Apple Watch were kind of in a lack of emotion, since when this thing's turned off, it's just a rectangle of glass and
That you hope doesn't
metal.
get scratched.
Yeah, he just felt like a lot of the people that collect these expensive watches, are looking at it as a work of art just sitting there, and that if the Apple Watch is off, it's not that unique or pretty or
Well, I
whatever.
should say, an iPhone 6 Plus turned off is a beautiful thing. A Mac turned off can be beautiful. So I don't know. The watch could be
Yeah,
beautiful
I
on the
don't, I don't,
wrist.
I don't know that I completely agree with him. I think
Yeah.
that's a pretty good looking thing. But so some of the other things he said was the cuff test. So he talked about the fact that um, it's a little thick and you can't slide your cuff over it. So
Oh, with dress shirts, you mean?
with dress shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, he also talked about digital watches being for nerds, so that's kind of a reputation that needs to
Yeah.
be overcome.
I think Apple can overcome it. Of all
Yeah,
the companies, right? I mean, So yeah, I think that will be overcome. I mean, the Pebble people look at it and kind of laugh, but I
Yeah.
think Apple will
Yeah.
overcome that.
And then some of the other things he said was, oh, well, it's a market that nobody was really asking for Apple to
Yeah, who
jump
wears
into
watches,
itself.
right? No one wears watches anymore.
So, I think he's just out of the world that you and I live in, where we know people have been clamoring for a watch forever since the rumors
I'll tell you
surged.
though, like I didn't wear a watch until the Pebble came out. It was the first watch I felt comfortable wearing. And I think Apple could get people to wear watches again. I think the people that have not worn watches their whole life may start with the wear a watch because Apple.
Yeah,
made something good.
I didn't wear a watch for a lot of my young adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
But then I did start wearing a watch, particularly when I had a watch that didn't need winding all the time,
Yeah.
and it wasn't, just a cheap little digital thing. I actually got a watch that had, solar power, so, it stayed charged. And now I'm looking for something with a little bit more functionality, something
Yeah.
that I don't have to pull my iPhone out of my pocket to, see the time or read my text,
Mm-hmm. With the
So,
6 Plus, I'm excited to be able to hopefully leave the 6 Plus at home while I'm doing a quick run or something like that.
yeah.
Good. We'll see how much offline functionality it has, but I'm excited. Yeah. Any closing remarks for our first segment here?
Well, I would say it's good to be back, and I look forward to talking with you about more Apple stuff as time goes on. Should be a
Absolutely.
lot of
It's great to
fun.
have you back, John. It's so great. It's been like trip down memory lane almost. It's been good. Yeah. The iPad Possibilities podcasts are actually still on iTunes if anyone wants to go back and listen to our old archives there. Yeah, so if you're curious,
That's cool.
they're out there.
Well, I'm glad you put this together. This the that goes along with all of your other new podcasts, which are interesting and people should listen to.
Yes, so yeah, I have the whole big club branding now. So if you want to,
Yeah.
you have an interest, probably have a podcast if it's entertainment or Apple related by now. But yeah, cool, John. Where can folks find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, I'm kind of like incognito a little bit right now,
Yeah,
which I
okay.
need to probably change as we go forward. But I'm at J Finnan on Twitter. Would probably be the best.
Okay, cool. So Jay Finnan on Twitter.
Yep.
Thank you, John. Looking forward to upcoming segments we do together. Very excited.
All right, thanks, Tim.
Okay, bye.